Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, bud? Hey, man, just real quick, I told you I had my painting set, and I did a self-portrait of myself, which is a double entendre, I believe. But I took that bad boy and I put it on eBay. It's not? Okay, whatever. I put it on eBay, and I got $4,200 out of that bad boy. And I was thinking, if you did that, you might get like, I don't know, $2,000 or something. So, man, oh, man, you should put up on eBay.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering the lockout and who knows what's going to happen with salaries. I mean, that'd be a good income source for me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Was that your walk-up song that we played?
It was. You guys didn't play the music, though, or the words. You didn't play the explicit part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to, we have FCC things that we're...
They're already worried about me enough. Can't do that.
Are you doing baseball stuff now, getting ready? At least the good news is that the two sides are talking. Apparently, there's indication that there are compromises being made. Are you preparing like it's going to be a normal spring training?
Yeah, absolutely. And I am also hearing reports of what you just mentioned, so that's really good. But again, these things are out of my control. They're out of all our players' control, and all we can really just focus on is, like you said, prepare for spring training as if it's starting on time. So if it's a little delayed, so be it. But yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, I'm doing baseball activity and getting ready for a championship season.
So, Harrison, as we're about, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so from when a pitchers and catchers would report in a normal spring. So where are you at with baseball activities? Kind of take us through your routine of when you start maybe swinging the bat more or seeing live pitching, how that all works.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much work out all off season or some version of it, whether it's like a Pilates or, like a yoga session, some type of athletic movement right after the season for a short period of time. Then I'll just go right into my lifts. And, within the lifts, they change. It's more mobility and stretching focus to start out, and then kind of get into your power and movement, because you really do need to give the body and mind some rest. It is a long season. So, towards the end of, the end of November, maybe early to mid-December, I'll start hitting. So I've been hitting for a while, just hitting. A lot of it is mental as much as it is rhythm and timing, which I get from a live arm, so that's good. And throwing wise, although I might not have a full football field to throw in, I am in fact getting my reps in. So it's really just about putting your body and mind in a position to where when you do come to spring training, you have a good foundation and a solid foundation to build off of as you add more baseball activity. So it's been a really successful off season with regards to that, and I'm just going to continue to do it until they call and say ready to go.
Our guest is Harrison Bader. And, Harrison, you might have picked up on the fact that this radio program isn't good. And we get off track a lot with topics that may have no interest to anyone but us. But earlier we were discussing the dangers of an alligator attack. And I know you're a New Yorker, but you spend quite a bit of time in Florida. Have you ever come close to some sort of alligator encounter?
I wish I had more on this subject, but I've never
that's lucky.
An alligator.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would say maybe 1 out of 20 people that have an alligator encounter might be missing something off their person. So I'm very happy that you haven't had it.
I feel like those things happen a lot on golf courses for guys trying to chase their balls because they just hit a terrible shot. And they just can't, if they could see the ball so close, they just can't get over, not being able to go in and grab it. And that's kind of when an alligator might pop up out of nowhere and bite someone's hand or finger off. So in that scenario, I think that the person at fault there is the human being and not the alligator.
I think because you're in sort of the alligator's habitat. And I will say this, if you're golfing with teammates, my money would be on Harrison Bader, Edmund, O'Neill, Sosa being able to get away from the alligator, and maybe some of the less fleet-footed teammates might end up getting a leg taken off.
But saying, Yachty?
What I'm saying is that if the Cardinals as a group were out golfing, my money would be on Harrison Bader, that he would be able to evade attack from an alligator.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too. I know these alligators are quick, but there's no way I'm going down from an alligator. It's just not happening. It's not happening.
I like that.
Harrison, I know Kat has probably more Gator questions. Because of the timing of it, and I know we've had you on now 2 or 3 times, but, I do have one baseball question where we didn't really get to hear from a lot of players with what happened with Mike Shildt being fired and Oli Marmol being hired, obviously, and just because you guys had just left after the season ended and didn't hear from a lot of players, just what was going around the text chain with the guys after all that took place pretty surprisingly?
Yeah, I mean, I was just as surprised as everybody else, just specifically as the timing of it, not so much the actual, of it taking place. I think that in this game, as much as it may be difficult to swallow at times, players get moved, managers get moved, and sometimes there are, unexplained factors. And, listen, I keep my job and my mindset very, very simple. We've had some success under Mike Shildt, and we wish him the best. But, there will be baseball in 2022. I will be in a Cardinals uniform in 2022 with a manager who's, there, and he's there for a reason. And I have the utmost confidence in, our and my front office to make those sound decisions. And the history of the Cardinals speaks to that exactly. So, with that said, as surprising as it may have been, listen, with all due respect, you just have to move on, keep your head down, and just keep working hard towards a championship season. And in my opinion, with the hiring of Oli Marmol, the front office is striving towards doing just that. They've added a couple more people, went to the hitting staff, and also a new bench coach who I'm very, very excited to, interact with and help be a part of that team that does, in fact, hoist that trophy up in downtown St. Louis as we're running around here in October. So, again, I'm just really focused on that. I'm just excited about the team that we have in front of us. So, just really looking forward to it.
I think the whole situation with Shildt took a lot of folks by surprise. But just perspective, Shildt and Marmol are tight. My perspective being down there, they were one and the same. Do you look at it that way also with Oli taking over? Because to me, those two guys were pretty much joined at the hip.
From my experience in watching them interact, yeah, I would say the same. But again, this is what I said before. Sometimes we're all tight, and there are, as much as we might not want it to be, it is an emotional connection among us. And I think that when we just toss around saying it's a business decision, that kind of gets in between it. But in reality, it is true. So whatever happened. But again, my focus is the team that we have in front of us, the team we got together in that clubhouse, and as it sits right now, I couldn't be more confident in it. So again, like I said, man, 2022, it's going to be a special year for all of us and for the city of St. Louis.
Hey, I don't know if you watched any of the football games last weekend, man, but they put on a show, all the quarterbacks and things like that. I was just asking, if you are a football fan, who are you rooting for? And did you ever meet any of those guys? Did you ever hang out with any football players? And if so, who is it?
Yeah, admittedly, it's not that I'm not a football fan. I just don't watch. I have respect for all athletes at their highest level, but I just don't watch football.
I hear you. Well, it was entertaining last weekend, that's all.
One of the things.
Yeah, no, I heard. I saw some highlights.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
No question. One of the things that I always find interesting about baseball, maybe more so than other sports, is the team concept. And you always talk about team first. I mean, I know it's very intentional on your part, but you go to spring training and you're in competition with this guy or that guy, but you can still be friends and also good teammates. I always remember you and Tommy Pham were close friends, and my guess is you still are today, even though you guys are competing for at-bats and playing time in center field. But you guys really were friends, right? I mean, you guys have to maintain that whole team concept, even though individually you might be battling that other guy.
Yeah, sure. The team first always concept, as you put. I mean, that's been a learned thing. I'd be lying to you guys if I said I wasn't, especially in college and leaving college and trying to get to the major leagues. You really have to focus on yourself. In many ways, you do have to be selfish, and there's nothing wrong in saying that. And I think now, as I'm growing up and being around leaders like Wayno, like Pham, like Yachty, like Goldie, I don't want to leave anybody out, but those guys just are selfish in the way that they want to be successful for the team, but everything revolves around the team success. And when you really, really do focus on the team, I have learned through my own experience that it really, truly does make you better. You worry less about things that would normally make you go crazy if you're just solely focused on your personal success. And with regards to Tommy and competing with other players, and even for players who are competing for a job every day, you have to have confidence in yourself to go out there and be the best. And players really are given opportunities to go out there and succeed. And even though sometimes maybe players are afforded more opportunities than others, regardless, there will be opportunity to succeed. And the game and the ball will allow you to have success if it's there. So, as much as we might be competing, I know Tommy believed in himself every single second of every day, as do I, as do really any player that gets an opportunity. So it's really not about looking over your shoulder, looking over your left and to your right. It's being grateful and appreciative of the opportunity to play at that level with some incredibly talented athletes, and just doing your absolute best to seize the moment when the game, when the manager, when the situation calls upon you. And from there, you can just kind of continue to build your career. But everybody has a path in this game, and whether it's a starting center fielder or a shortstop from day one, or maybe off the bench, then you kind of evolve into a starting player. At some point, the game and the ball will allow you to arrive, and it's just about keeping your head on straight and focusing on what you can do to help the team to build that foundation for yourself as an athlete.
And Harrison, I think fans like to get to know you guys behind the scenes. You said you're training a lot and not necessarily watching football, but day to day, your normal Monday through Friday, if you're getting your training in, how are you spending the day? You working out in the morning? I mean, do you golf? What else are you doing these days?
Yeah, I train 5 days a week, all day, every day, and I give myself the weekends. So on my fun, I'm not a golfer, but on my fun, I give myself Saturday and Sunday for sure, and that's necessary. I think, especially in a season that's so long, where even when you do have an off day, you're still so locked in and so focused. It really is important to just take your weekends. And maybe people would argue otherwise, but I feel pretty confident in myself and giving my 5 days a week and just enjoying my Saturday and Sunday, and especially Sunday. I mean, anybody who has been in contact with me, on a daily basis knows that Sunday I'm virtually unreachable.
Yep, should be.
Actually, this past Sunday, I was actually questioned if I walked across Park Avenue and got hit by a bus because I was so far away from being on my phone. So, I think it's important for the mind to just, to take your weekends. I've had some time to travel earlier in the off season, but, January has been a great month. February is going to continue to be a great month. And hopefully by then we'll be already started to where I won't even have to make a decision on what I'm going to do on the weekend. I'll know exactly what I'm doing, and I'll be playing baseball. So yeah.
I get to you.
Knock wood. Hopefully, saner heads prevail and this thing gets worked out, because everybody misses baseball. Harrison, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good talking to you guys. I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thanks.
That was Harrison Bader doing his thing. Oh, I botched my question. I'll tell you that right now. I thought he was going to be a football fan, and I was like, okay, maybe he watched it.
There's no such thing as a bad question. The only bad question is a question never asked.
Well,
maybe
I've asked some bad questions. Seth, I could see you probably ask some bad questions too.
Quick glance at me.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. No, we're in the same category.
No, I mean, you don't know until you know. Look, let's face it. It got a ton of media attention that Harrison's coming out with a new line of hair products. That was your question.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I figured maybe he'd say, yeah, I did watch that game. You know what? I was hanging out with this guy, and we went to da-da-da-da, and I do know Patrick Mahomes. He's a great guy. I thought maybe he'd go down that path, but he just doesn't hang out with any of those guys.
I bet you, though, so he went to the University of Florida.
Yeah.
And it had to be, I mean, Florida's always good at football. Would that have been the end of Urban Meyer's era? I'm trying to think of how old Harrison Bader is. But I'm sure if you're playing baseball at the University of Florida, you got a bunch of future pro athletes that are on your campus. Basketball, I mean, I don't know if that was the Brad Beal era, maybe afterwards, but I mean, Florida's pretty good at every sport.
Yeah.
You're training with those guys, as you said about throwing. Nowadays, it gets us back to our conversation about training, baseball players and all that. These huge facilities, if you have a 100-yard indoor facility, you're going to have football players in there throwing. You're going to have pro baseball players in there throwing, using that space. So I'm sure a lot of those guys train at facilities that are for multi-sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering if he was going to – I thought he was going to say maybe, no, I don't hang out with Patrick Mahomes. I hang out with Jackson, though. Then I'd be like, oh, no. I'd be like,
Jackson's getting a lot of blowback on social media.
People hate Patrick Mahomes and are rooting against him just because of his brother and his wife. Did you see them after the game, though, by the way?
Which one? I see video clips. I don't know.
She's so goofy. And she's like, ah! And then she takes the champagne and like sprays it all over everybody. And yeah, I know you're in KC, everybody's happy, but like if I'm there and she's dumping champagne on me, well, it's like 13 degrees out and it's sticky. I'm like, stop it, stop it. You're annoying.
I think people were celebrating.
I know, but she's annoying.
But I mean, first of all, I think Patrick Mahomes is so likable.
He is.
That it's weird that there's blowback against him and people would root against him just because they don't want to see his brother doing a TikTok dance. I'm not on TikTok, but I've seen some of the stuff he does. Apparently, he's like a big TikTok star in his own right.
Not really.
But is he?
If you
though?
Look at his stuff, not really.
If people are doing it to make fun of him, I hate to say it. And I
watch them make fun of him.
Look, maybe I'm wrong. I usually am. But I separate it. Even though I feel like I only see and hear about Jackson Mahomes when he's doing something silly and people are ripping on him, I totally separate that from Patrick Mahomes. I don't blame him one way about that. And then the other thing, like the one video that I saw that made me really laugh, not for the reasons probably Jackson Mahomes and the wife thought, was the video where they're all at the restaurant. And Patrick Mahomes is up at the bar or the table, and he's just eating his food. Yep. He's just eating like a normal person. And the wife and the brother, they're twerking, they're dancing, and it just gave me the vision or the visual of Patrick Mahomes is just like he's done with it.
Stop filming
I'm just going to eat my food, please, and just do whatever the hell you're doing on TikTok.
And you know what? Like even that's live too, by the way, and that would piss me off. Even if like when Kate, maybe let's do something where I'm just like, ugh, and I kind of look, I'm like, no, don't film me on that or whatever. Like sometimes you're sitting around, you got to put something on Insta story because you haven't done it in a while, fine. But nothing's live. So whenever you film somebody, I don't give a damn how close you are with them, and if he's somewhat of a celebrity and you're filming without him knowing, live nonetheless, that is such a gutless, stupid ass thing to do. And I don't know, man. He's probably like, what are you doing now? Yeah, you don't blame him for anything. But on the other hand, like I'd put my foot down. Maybe he has. It's like stay out of the limelight. You guys are embarrassing, and he's probably like, oh, what am I doing with?
I think his
anyway?
brother makes a good amount of money.
He sucks. It doesn't matter.
Media, whether or not you think it's deserved, he does. But there is blow. I guess he called out a little bar that they went into in Kansas City, and they said they don't have room, and he was apparently trying to big time. I don't know who was right or wrong. But there was some negative blowback from that.
He was wrong.
Yeah, but the bar did apologize, too.
No, they ripped him.
No, they ripped him. And then apologized.
Then apologized for their ripping
Right,
him.
but everybody, most reasonable folks, thought it was awesome. I did at least.
So did I.
I thought it was awesome of what the bar wrote to him. It was hilarious.
It was funny.
And then they felt bad or somebody forced them to apologize.
I didn't know that. That's disappointing. That they had to apologize, like actually sincerely apologize.
Yeah, well, they bashed him. They bashed the restaurant so bad, and the restaurant's like, geez, so we're grinding it and struggling too. Now you're gonna put us down because you didn't get what? Didn't you get? I don't know, man. Just little things like that. But again, Jackson Mahomes seems like the most likable dude in the world. He says the right thing.
Patrick.
I say Jackson? Oh, God, he's in my back of my head now. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes seems just like an unbelievably likable guy, man. I'm rooting for him, but yeah, it is kind of annoying. Figured I'd bring that up. Let's see here.
One of the reasons I brought up Tommy Pham with Harrison Bader, because those guys are still close, and they were competing. But don't you miss Tommy Pham? Mm-hmm. He was fun to have around, that guy.
Tommy Pham, instant offense on the field, but also instant offense in terms of quotes. Hilarious. Would always speak his mind. Probably, now when I say too much, not for me. I wish all these athletes spoke their mind and were unfiltered. But I do remember there was the one off season where Tommy Pham had just come up, and he said something along the lines of, we hadn't been in the playoffs in a while. And he was just coming up. And then I remember John Mozeliak said something like, he wasn't here when we were in the playoffs, right? So I think Tommy Pham brash, which I loved. I think sometimes when somebody first comes up, they want folks to maybe pay their dues a little bit. But I'm in the media world, and I'm in the world of liking to be entertained. And Tommy Pham, he was talking about being stabbed multiple times.
By the way, I broke that story. Yeah. Because he did say in a scrum, he was talking about how he hurt himself with his exercise equipment, right? And then, he gashed his head, and he said, look, I've been through stuff. I've been stabbed. And I don't want to hit that button like in the middle of a scrum to,
Yeah.
And no one else followed up. So the next day I went up to him and I said, I kind of need the backstory. His stepfather had stabbed him. He was defending his mom. The stepfather apparently was either drunk or belligerent, and so they went at it. And so that was the backstory. And then Tommy, of course, got stabbed at the strip club in the parking lot. And then apparently he sued the strip club because he said that the security there actually made the situation worse, and they settled with him.
What was the other story, just off the top of my head? Wasn't there something where he wanted a certain type of treadmill that the Cardinals didn't have? Or didn't he hit his head on something because he made his own
that's
treadmill?
That's where the stabbing thing. He injured himself going to work on this piece of apparatus in game and hurt his head, and after the game he's all bandaged up, he couldn't pinch hit. The treadmill thing, Tommy does this thing. I mean, he's a really smart guy, and he researches like metrics and workout routines, and he was using this state-of-the-art treadmill at this training facility where it supposedly enhances your speed by putting resistance on a treadmill and using well-thought-out bursts or whatever. It could enhance your speed, and he wanted the Cardinals to get that, and they said no.
Which is very, very expensive, by the way. Hockey has the same kind of treadmill with skates where they harness you, and you have to, yeah, it works, but it's expensive.
But
you can't just tell somebody to go do that.
And then, the other thing is, too, for folks on social media, they should never have gotten rid of Tommy Pham. You go down the list of outfielders that, have done okay. And Tommy's had his ups and downs, there's no question. But you look at the Cardinal outfield that they got now, they stuck with guys that they believed in. It's worked out well for them.
Yeah, but I do think it's fair to say that was about 4 years ago, right?
I mean, I'm not saying that they got all they could in return, but when you have to choose who you're going to stick with, the guys have worked out pretty well. I like their outfield. That's all I'm saying.
I think you'd have to be a big-time hater, and you'd have to be unreasonable to not be super excited for not just last year, but the future of the young Cardinals outfield. But I do think it's a different conversation than there was about a 4 or 5 year span there where when you're talking about Tommy Pham and then even Randy Arozarena before this trio has really arrived. Like, look, Tyler O'Neill, it took a while for him. Sometimes it takes a while. I mean, Tyler O'Neill was traded from the Mariners. He always crushed it at AAA. It took him a little longer, which is fine. So, yeah, I mean, you can't rip the Cardinals for sticking with a guy, and he was a freaking top, MVP type vote getter last year. I mean,
he was in that conversation.
Tyler O'Neill was one of the best players in baseball. He might have been the best left fielder in baseball overall. When you're talking Gold Glove,
great dude too,
with his offensive numbers. So it just took him a little longer.
Speed on the base pass. That's what. And the Cardinals haven't really harnessed that. That's kind of what excites me too. That's why I think offensively they're going to be better. I think some of these young outfielders came into their own, but the speed that those guys have, it puts so much pressure on the defense, and we saw that come into play. And I think they're just scratching the surface what they can be in terms of putting more pressure on opposing defenses.
Tyler O'Neill was 8th in the MVP last
Pretty
year.
good.
Wow.
Did you guys read that? Yeah. I like him, man. He's a good dude. Really good guy. Good
You
Canadian
like him because
boy.
he's a hockey guy.
He's just a nice dude. He picked up our tab at the golf place one time and just didn't say a word. He had to go. I went to get the check, and he picked it up. Like little things like that, man.
He did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What event was it?
We were at Pool House, and we all went to golf, Top Golf. We were all hanging out, drinking, doing whatever, chilling. And he had to go, and he bounced. And then later on, I get the tab, and he was already paid for it.
That's nice.
Oh, God, yeah. I'll always pump his tires up because of that. Good old Canadian boy.
Now, he's also like great post-game sound.
Mm-hmm.
Different than Tommy Pham, as he's not, but just the way he says it.
The boys?
It's fun, yeah. Like
the boys?
Like I was doing a remote. They were on the road. We weren't broadcasting from the road, so I'm wherever they are, long ways away. And I had noticed that on the play he had cut his arm open, and in the interview he still had blood. And I was like, thanks for the time. By the way, go get a bandage on that because you're bleeding all over the place. And he said, always glad to give a little blood for the boys.
That's great stuff.
Yeah, that's a hockey dude. He's a hockey dude.
I use Tyler O'Neill as an example amongst my family because, remember, was it this past year or the year before where he had a reaction to, I believe he ate a salad, right? He had a salad that wasn't properly labeled, and he had some type of nut allergy. I can't remember which one, so I apologize. But he had to use an EpiPen, and he missed. Remember that?
Yeah.
He missed a game for that. So my son, who has peanut allergies and egg and all that, I think, you know what? Hey, it's all good. Tyler O'Neill is freaking top 8 in the MVP. He looks like a bodybuilder. He hits jacks. He runs, and he has a nut allergy.
Damn right.
My kid's going to be fine.
Yep.
That's
And
how I think about it.
That's good, man.
Can't tend to grow most of that. Not always.
Correct.
But they tend to. And the thing about O'Neill, too, which didn't get a lot of play, but he changed his body type. He's still ripped, but he wasn't as much of a Hulk as he was because he stopped doing max weights and did more reps, trying to be faster twitch and also more durable. He had heard all throughout his career, yeah, this guy's going to be on the DL or IL now more than anyone else because he's too muscle bound. And he said, throughout my minor league career, I was never on the IL. Then it caught up to him, so he wanted to change his approach. So he dropped a little bit of the weight, and hopefully that will help him in the long run.
And also, even though his build looks more bodybuilder, he's a ridiculously fluid athlete. I mean, when you watch that dude run, there's some hulking baseball players. Now, if you go back to like the steroids era, you saw some dudes who were just blocky, right? Just muscles everywhere. They didn't look like athletes.
Vogelbach.
Tyler O'Neill,
Vogelbach.
even something like that, but he's out of shape also.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler O'Neill.
But he's bulky.
He is. But Tyler O'Neill, for being a dude who does have that bodybuilder build, physique, he runs like a freaking gazelle. I mean, he's super athletic.
Yeah. I mean, he is a freak type athlete, and I'm glad he's coming into his own. He was also part of, to me, that was the most memorable play for the Cardinals. Remember that double play? All of a sudden, Bader comes in the relay as part of it. And O'Neill had come in, but he didn't get involved, and he's standing there in the middle of the play with his hat off. And Tommy Edman, I think it was Tommy Edman, had pointed that to me that, Tyler O'Neill was part of it, but he kind of took his hat off and was just standing there watching, so we blew up the video. And you could see Tyler O'Neill in the middle of this rundown where Bader's part of it, kind of just standing there with his hands on his hip, with his hat in his hand going, hey.
What's going to happen?
Guys, you need me? Pretty good stuff.
Somebody chimed in and goes, well, I had nothing to do with this, but once my neighbor, one of my neighbors at my old house had a rhea get loose. What's a rhea? The thing went after my dog. I drop kicked that thing to the next county.
I saw that, and if I don't know what it is, I'm not going to say it.
Is that like
Caroline Ray?
I'm not going to say it because
rhea.
It seems like sometimes on the text line they will try to get you to say certain things.
Well, that's right. Is that something? I thought it might be like I don't know what the hell it is.
What's a rhea? They're trying to make you say something and then you step in it. That's what I'm trying to think. Is that?
I don't know.
But it also could just be. It could be autocorrect.
What's the matter, you? Hey, gotta no respect. Hey, what do
Here
you
we go.
think you do?
A rhea is our large ratites in the order South America. They look like
they're tights.
What is it?
I've never heard this
like
word.
Lululemon tights?
Ratites. They look like a bird that's kind of like an ostrich.
Oh, I was going to say that. Yeah, they're nasty, dude.
A rhea.
He drop kicked that thing? Ooh, yeah, those things will peck your head off.
It looks like an ostrich, basically.
Oh, my God. Who the hell has one of those?
Yeah, it's distantly related to the ostrich and emu is a rhea. R-H-E-A.